He doesn't really bat at objects. He's not attempting to hold his own bottle. And so she said, okay, well, why don't we get him into physical therapy right away, and we'll see what happens. And at that time, the only diagnosis they could really give me was low muscle tone. And so we enrolled Caleb into physical therapy, and he didn't walk until he was 19 months old. He had very little speech, but as soon as he did start walking and talking, we thought, okay, we've overcome this hurdle, and we're just going to move on. So I decided, in order to get him caught up, maybe preschool would be a good thing for him to do. And preschool ended up being a nightmare. He had several meltdowns. He barely could make it through the day. He would often, his kids would be in one area doing something, and there would be Caleb just kind of wandering around in his own little world. And that's when people started to come up to me. That's where I started hearing, from teachers and even the administrator, has anyone ever told you they think that your child might have autism? And I'm like, no. And then I got online and started doing all of the, Googling autism, and then that's when I started to see low muscle tone. And so the pieces kind of started to fit together. And so I got him into the developmental pediatrician right away and said to him, he's having all these meltdowns at school, he has low muscle tone. I'm really thinking that he is starting to distribute signs of autism. And the doctor looked at me and said, you're crazy. He was sitting there interacting with his dad. They were pushing a car back and forth, and he said, he doesn't have autism, he's fine, he's just a little bit delayed. By the time he's 5, by the time he enters kindergarten, you'll never know that there was even an issue. So I said, okay. We just kind of rushed through preschool and enrolled Caleb in kindergarten when he was 5. And that was, things went from bad to worse. I think Caleb when we first started Caleb in kindergarten, I think the first 2 days were good. And then after that, like I said before, it went downhill. Caleb was suspended a total of 6 times his kindergarten year. And so then I decided, something's going on. This is not typical behavior for a kindergarten. A typical kindergartner does not get suspended 6 times from school. And so I went back to the doctor, and I said, listen, something is wrong. He is in kindergarten. He's still delayed. We're having all of these issues. And so he said to me, well, you know what? It probably is ADHD. And, still the autism was never really discussed after that. But he said, okay, just not being able to sit in his seat, not being able to focus. So he said, well, why don't we put him on some medicine and see what happens? And he actually asked me what kind of medicine I wanted. And I said, I don't know. You're the doctor. You tell me. And so we decided to put Caleb on a 12-hour stimulant called Metadate. And we started at the lowest dosage possible. And did it help? Kind of. We had good days. We had bad days. I never really saw a dramatic improvement with the medicine. In fact, I even took him off it over the summer because what I was beginning to realize is he was just having these behaviors at school. At home, was he perfect by any means? No, but he wasn't throwing his shoes off. He wasn't crawling around on the floor. He wasn't having these, full-blown meltdowns. And so then I started doing more of the research on the sensory. Well, it would make sense. If he's having sensory issues, his behavior would be worse if it's in a noisy room, a lot going on. He's being asked to do all of these things. And so I took him off the medicine, and he was awesome. Summer was awesome. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, we decided we would give him medicine when first grade, when we started first grade. And Margie, if you could pull that up. This is Caleb's first month of first grade. I don't know, a lot of elementaries do it the same way as far as behavior charts. Green is awesome, yellow means slow down, red means probably you have to go to the office, orange, I probably had to go pick him up, white, it goes all the way down to white. And this was Caleb's, like I said, first month, and the teacher was writing down every single thing that Caleb was doing. Day 3, threw paper on the floor, didn't want to cooperate, did not follow directions, threw pencils. I mean, a lot of crawling all over the floor. And Caleb also, I should mention, has a full-time aide. So he was still having these behaviors, even having someone right there next to him to guide him throughout the day. And so what Miss Victoria, his aide, would do, he would be asked to do something if Caleb got frustrated or started crawling around or having a meltdown. They'd go directly to the sensory room. They would do sensory exercises. They'd come back. Caleb would be calm for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then it'd start up again. So they'd go back to the sensory room. And this was basically Caleb's day. He was either in the sensory room or basically crawling around his own classroom. And so if we want to go to October, by the time October hit, the teacher's like, I cannot write down every little thing that he's doing. So we just decided to do colors. By the end of October, it was just too overwhelming for her. So she would basically just send home a big happy or big sad face for the day. And like this one right up here, did not want to complete writing, ran around the room. Miss Victoria took a sensory. So at this point, this is what I call my breaking point, the end of October. Decided to go back to the doctor and say, okay, he's on the medicine, but we're still seeing the behavior. What can we do? There has to be something. And he said, well, why don't we up the dosage? We'll just up the dosage of medication. You know, he probably had a growth spurt over summer. And I looked at Caleb's dad, and we both were just sitting there shaking our heads. We're like, no, I don't feel comfortable upping the dosage. And I just said to myself, I remember literally in my mind thinking there has to be something else out there. And so I went home and just really started talking to his dad and like, you know what, maybe we should go up to Cleveland Clinic. Maybe we just get a second opinion and try and find out what's going on. And in the midst of all the chaos, I was sitting at my kitchen table and there was a stack of mail there. And poking out from the side, I saw the words ADHD, and I pulled it and looked at it, and it was an advertisement for the sensory learning program. And so I said, okay, had no idea, had never heard of it before, jumped online, filled out the free child assessment that was online, and then Margie called me the next day, spent about half hour, 45 minutes on the phone with me, going over the assessment, and basically I think over the phone we decided that Caleb would be a prime candidate for the program. So we scheduled a free experiential session, I think a few weeks later, and that is when I met Dr. Schmakel for the first time. And I knew, leaving that day, even not really, I mean, I started to understand it. I'm a psychology major, so I love this stuff, so I did research it, but I enrolled him just because of the treatment that I got when I entered Schmakel Eye Care, the Sensory Learning Center. Margie and Dr. Schmakel spent an hour with me and Caleb. And before that, if I took Caleb to see whatever specialist it was, I mean, we were in and out like in a half hour. Or we would spend an hour in the waiting room and then be maybe 15 minutes in the room, not even, and be out. And I just couldn't believe, I never once felt like I was at a doctor's office. I felt like I was sitting down with two friends of the family just discussing Caleb and what his issues were. So I enrolled Caleb. We decided, because it is very time consuming, we decided that Christmas break would be the best time. He'd be off school for a good week and a half. And this is January. Just remarkable. I remember picking Caleb up, I think it was on Monday the 11th or one of those days, to bring him in and to bring him into his afternoon session. And his aide stopped me and said, what did you do over break? What did you do with Caleb? Because he is a completely different child. He's actually sitting down. He's attempting to do his work. And we still have sad faces, but this is not Caleb crawling around, having meltdowns. This may be just him getting frustrated, not wanting to do his work. But we never really, again, have had any of the meltdowns on the floor, throwing the shoes. And then do you want to show? I mean, this is February, and I have right here, this is March. April, and this is up to May, which is basically the end of the school year. We still have some yellows, and I always said, but I mean, I don't expect my kid to be perfect. I don't know what parent does, so I can live with the yellows. You know, I never again got a call saying you need to come pick him up. He never once got suspended, and I'm happy to report we started second grade 2 weeks ago, and I mean, we do stars now. He earns all of his stars. So I was so obviously ecstatic about what I saw, the progress I saw in my son. And like I said, being a psychology major, I went to Dr. Schmakel's wife and I asked what a person had to do in order to become an actual therapist, actually, administer the therapy. And so I went through extensive training, and I'm now a certified program specialist. But I still wanted to do more. When something happens like this and you find something that changes your son's life, you want to yell it from the rooftop. And so I asked if I could come on as the parent advocate for the program, meaning I speak at the seminars and I just help administer flyers. Margie and I attend a lot of events. And so I've been doing that now for the past 6 months. And I don't know, it changed my life, it changed my son's life, and I'm just very thankful that I found something. Is Caleb still on medicine? Yes, he is still on medicine. Does the medicine work now? Yes, it works. Have we had to up a dosage? No, we haven't. It's just been amazing, and what I always tell parents is that, here you're getting to the root of what's going on instead of just administering a pill where you're just going to mask the symptoms for 12 hours and then start all over again the next day. I mean, this really gets to the root of what's going on with these kids, and I'm just so grateful that I'm a part of it and that I'm able to talk to everybody and spread the word. And as a side note, I also now am involved in what's called Project Doc, where I actually can now meet and talk to upcoming doctors and express concerns as a parent and ask them more to listen to what we're saying, just as Dr. Schmakel did. Thank you.
Thank you, Keri. The sensory learning program is unique in a number of ways. I'd like to share 5 of them with you tonight. The sensory learning program delivers simultaneous multisensory stimulation, the unique combination of light, sound, and motion delivered together. Because children are engaged by the multisensory input of the sensory learning program, they adapt with minimal motivation required. Our focus is on the input of light, sound, and motion, not on a particular output we want the child to perform. We're working from the bottom up, stimulating the brainstem area so that the child can adapt to basic sensory input, as opposed to working from the top down through complex directions the child is supposed to plan and execute. We consider the sensory learning program to be foundational for 2 reasons. 1, all higher cortical activity depends on the accuracy of sensory information integrating in the brainstem area. And 2, though it does not replace occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, vision therapy, ABA, social skills classes, tutoring, etc., the sensory learning program provides a foundation for them to be more successful in a shorter period of time. I'd like to provide a brief program summary. The sensory learning program is a 30-day drug-free intervention. 12 consecutive days in the office. Now for the little ones, it's a half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the afternoon, separated by 3 or 4 hours. For an adult or a child that can take it for the full hour, we do it with just a 5-minute break. 12 consecutive days in the office with light, sound, and motion, followed by 18 days at home with a portable light unit, which gives us the red with the violet together, which doesn't exist in natural environments. So, and that's what makes the light portion work so well, because we get the stimulation from the red and the relaxation from the violet at the same time without the intervening colors. That creates new pathways. The energy from the light creates the new pathways to balance the system. And then, again, as you see at the bottom here, 2 30-minute sessions for a child, and one 60-minute session for an adult. Now, we'll close with a video from a parent of a child that went through the program in Colorado that to me epitomizes the experience of so many parents whose children have gone through the program.
Well, I remember when Malia was born, there was something about her, she just didn't like to be touched. And so that was pretty hard for me as a mother. You know, she's my first and only child. But for the first 2 years of her life, she would just wake up grumpy, like not wanting to be here, irritable. And often when things would go wrong for her, she would want to blame somebody. She'd kick at me and punch at me and just be mean. And after the sensory learning program, it was like the last day of the program that I noticed something changed, something shifted for my daughter. It's like her heart had opened. It was just huge to see my daughter make that breakthrough. And the teachers at school see that she's happy, and she wakes up happy every day. So I'm just really grateful for sensory learning. It changed my daughter's life.
Thank you all for coming and listening. We hope we have helped you better understand the sensory learning program. You've heard what a number of parents and professionals have to say about the program. If you believe your child or your client, for those professionals in the audience or listening, would be a good candidate for the sensory learning program, you can go online to sensorylearning-toledo.com and fill out and look at everything, fill out a sensory profile for your son or daughter, and then we will get in touch with you. Thank you.
Again, Dr. Schmakel and I would like to thank you for coming. Just a few things we wanted to let you know what we have available here this evening. In the back, there is a table that is filled with all kinds of information. There are different articles that have been written about the program. There's also articles that have been specifically written about Dr. Schmakel. So those are also back there. We have a list of references. So if there's anybody that you would like to call to find out more information on the program, Keri Porter is actually, her number's on there. You can speak with her or several other parents that have gone through the program. That is also back there. The pricing sheet is back there. The information on specific grants and some financial aid type things that are available are back there. We also have, if for some reason tonight someone couldn't be with you and you'd like to share this with them, we do have DVDs. Just speak with one of us on the staff and we'll be more than happy to give you one of those to take home. Also to let you know, we are on Facebook. It's a great place to go to see a lot of the different children that have been through. We don't provide any names or anything, but we do have their faces on there, and we keep up with them and post the types of results that the parents are seeing with them. And now I'd like to open up the floor for questions and answers with Dr. Schmakel.